by head coach Phil Neville. Before we go into questions, Phil, if you want to start off with whatever you want to say at first.
No, just welcome back. It's great to see so many of you. You know, it was like an army in that right-hand corner for training this morning. Obviously, a lot of excitement. We've been back in. Staff have been back in for 10 days now. The players came back in at the weekend. At the start of every season, we've got dreams, we've got aspirations, we've got targets, we've got challenges. And I'd say the first week has gone really, really well. The players have come back in really good shape. The testing's been really good. Today was slightly a lighter day, which is why you didn't see probably 3 or 4 players out on the training field. But I feel as if we're in great shape, and I'm really looking forward to the rest of the preseason and for the season to kick off.
To start off, Tyson.
Hey Phil.
How you doing?
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
I'm curious, moving into year 2 for you and having a somewhat normal off season, just what that was like for you, and just kind of, you know, not having to hit the ground running and everything. Just how have the last few months for you been, and what are your expectations? With camp now open.
Yeah, I suppose the 1000% that it was really nice to feel stable coming into to the off season. Even though there was probably 3 stages to the off season, there was the initial aftermath of Vancouver, a lot of meetings, a lot of reviews, a lot of sort of like the recruitment strategy kicking in, and then there was the middle bit which I managed to switch off for maybe 5-6 days, go to Hawaii, Maui, which was fantastic. I'm not looking for a violin, but it was my first family holiday in 5 years, so it was just a really good to go to a country that I've always wanted to go to, but seemed too far away for when I was in England. So that was incredible. Came back. Took my son to the Everton Man United game because that was probably the 2 teams I played for a weekend. Saw my mum, which is always special, and my family, and then came back and spent Christmas in Portland, which was really, really nice, and we had the best time. And then obviously preparing for the start of the season and the start of pre-season planning, recruitment hasn't stopped probably all off season. So it was nice to have moved into my new house, had a nice holiday, and real stability in this great city.
Hey Phil, at the end of last season, you said that the Vancouver result, you guys were going to probably be feeling that the entire off season. Yeah. And then the schedule makers decided first game of the season will be against Vancouver. So how are you guys feeling after that and heading into that game?
Yeah, I think the defeats stay with you longer than the victories. I think that's my experience since I started playing professional sports. I'd say that the only difference is that they're going to have a new manager, maybe new owners. It feels a little bit different rather than Varney being on the side there. I think you'd feel probably a little bit more. I'm going to say I hate the word revenge, but there would be something in the game with a different manager now. He wasn't here probably like 2 months ago, so it's going to be a different game. But what I will say is that it's a chance for us to. I don't think we're ever going to put right what happened on that last playoff game, but what it will give us a chance to start the season well against one of our Cascadia rivals. We won the Cascadia Cup last year. We want to defend it. I know how important it is to the Timbers Army, and it's a good way to start the season with a home game Sunday 1:00. And like probably most players and manager will tell you, is that you want to probably forward wind the next 4 weeks of your life to get to that point, and so we're excited for that.
Hey, Coach.
How you doing?
Doing well. How are you? Well, sounds like you had a great break.
Yeah.
Getting going on this pace. My question is about kind of picking up with that Vancouver match, bringing in new young guys, but we kept Chara. We have some of our veterans. What is your plan for pacing as the season gets started, and what are your expectations for the new guys and how fast they have to pick up the program?
Yeah, well, I think we've added three massive pieces. You know, Ariel, Zhao, and Kevin. We're looking for a couple of more pieces to add to that as well. We've had a distinct plan probably a month before the end of the season, we knew what we wanted, what we needed to do. I do want to continue to evolve this roster. I think you've seen that with some of the moves that we've made. We're going to have a real quick young team. You know, I was looking through the roster just before I came into the press conference, and, you know, with Kevin added to it, hopefully maybe one more, young player, we're going to have real speed in our team. I think the big thing in the review from the end of last season was a couple of things. Is that we definitely run out of steam. We definitely sort of like rolled the front 4 to 5 to 6 players because we had to, but too much towards the end of the season. Our 3 probably special players, Pipe, Jonna and Evander, they 1000% hit a brick wall. Think about that Austin and Dallas game at home, the Vancouver game at home. So because of the lack of depth we had on the roster, that was one thing we wanted. We wanted more depth underneath, and that's what probably where Zhao and Ari come into it, and Kevin, you know, because it's definitely with the injuries that we had and the lack of depth underneath those front 6, we were really struggling we were running on empty. So that was a big thing in the off season. Obviously, there is a defensive aspect to our play that we can't hide away from, that we need to be better. You know, we need to halve the amount of goals we score from set plays, and we need to take a large percentage off the goals that we concede. And I'd say that the last 2 or 3 years, what we've seen is that probably the nucleus of that back 4 have probably conceded the same amount of goals. So something has to change, or it's the definition of insanity, you know. So we're working really hard on strengthening the areas with the right profiles that we need to be successful. And I think with the work that's been done in the off season by the whole front office and by all the coaching staff, we've had to work really hard to be patient. And I know there's the Timbers armies out there. They've wanted signings from the day after Vancouver, but I wanted to bring in the right type of player with the right type of profile that means that we can be competitive and we can compete. And in my second season, that's what I want to do. Where's the cap, Jeremy?
You got a haircut.
Oh, nice. I didn't recognize you.
Hey, Phil.
How you doing?
Year.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm great.
Nice to see you.
It's nice to see you. This is kind of a random question, but at MLS Media Day, a lot of the coaches were talking about the possibility of moving the MLS schedule to a European schedule and going fall to spring. And I wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting concept. I think there's probably pros and cons to both. I think in terms of sort of like the international calendar, I think it makes total sense, you know, in terms of aligning the international calendars, aligning all the leagues in the world with the same type of calendar. But then I suppose the negatives, particularly in this country's climate in a lot of the sort of like eastern type country states, the weather is really brutal at this time of the year. The other sports that are played in this year, it's all got to align, you know, the basketball, the baseball, and the soccer have obviously got to align. So I think it looks a logistical nightmare to do, but I can see where sort of like it would benefit probably the international calendar a lot, particularly probably major tournaments. We're coming up to a tournament in this country in a couple of years' time where it falls straight bang in the middle of our season. So that's going to be something that the MLS and the federations are going to have to manage. But I think if I was probably a professional footballer and I was an international footballer, having experienced sort of like the European calendar, going into a major tournament at the end of an 11 to 12 month season is really difficult. So I think if you were on our calendar, it's far easier going into an international tournament when it's midway through the season, where you're probably still fresh and you still got the ability to really churn out performances. So I'm not paid to make these decisions, but I say that there's probably lots of pros and cons to making that decision.
Hey, Phil. In the end of season press conference, you said Evander is like a son to you.
Yeah.
What have your conversations with him been like during this offseason, and do you expect him to report once the visa issues have been resolved?
Yeah, I think you don't disown your sons. You know, that's the first thing. And I've got a son, and if he does wrong, I don't just throw him out the door and say never come back. I think you all know my feelings towards towards this player. We've had an open dialogue throughout the whole of the off season. I think there's been a lot of accountability shown on his part. But I'm building a team here and a culture to win, and on that, when you build something and you want to win, you need everybody on the bus heading in the same direction. And I think that's the question over the next couple of weeks that we'll probably find out. And I'd say that, will he always have a special place? Yes, always, whether he's here or not. Evander is someone that I tried to sign in Miami, and he's someone that I think last year we got the absolute best out of. He was MVP level. But at the end of the day, I've got a job to do at this football club that we want the right players in the right moments with the right culture that will fit into the team ethic. And I'd say that him and Anthony are on the green card process at this moment in time. When that finishes, because I think if you know the green card process, it could be 10 days, it could be 2 weeks. We expect him back, and then we'll speak, and then we will behind closed doors make a decision whether he's the right person for the number 10 shirt or he's not. And I think that's probably as fair as I can answer.
Other standout midfielder, David Ayala. You were probably more complimentary of him than any other player on the roster last year. I know he was coming back from an ACL, so it's somewhat of a games restriction. Is he able to go full every game if he's fit?
Full. He's. I think this is going to be a massive season for him. I look at Santi Moreno. I look at Juan Mosquera. I look at Anthony. I look at Kevin Kelsey. I look at David Ayala. I look at Finn Sermon. I think we've got some of the best young players in the whole of the MLS. And I think, you're talking about the numbers that are getting brandished around the MLS with the internal transfer market, in other leagues around the world. I think we've got the best young players in the whole of the MLS. Players that obviously will want to get right to the very top. So I think if you're a Portland Timbers manager, owner, supporter, I think over the next 12 months, it won't be a surprise if the big clubs in Europe are going to come calling for these young players. Why? Because they are really, really special talents. Kevin Kelsey is going to be a real special talent. Over the next 2 years, hopefully we can develop him, get him scoring goals and fulfilling his potential, just like we have with Evander, with Anthony, with David Ayala, Mosquera, and Finn Sermon, these incredible young players that we want to build the culture around. We want to build the spirit of the club around. When the Timbers Army are coming to the game, we want them to see these young players playing with freedom, expression, enjoyment, and total commitment to the cause. And I think that's why I'm so excited to get out onto the training field every single day, because I think we've got to invest in these young players. We've got to trust these young players and believe in them, because these are the future of this football club, And I think over the next 12 to 18 months, I think the front office they'll be busy fending off a lot of offers for these young players.
One of the things you said many times last year is this is a league that is dependent on its DP players.
Yeah.
And last year, your three had as good a DP seasons as in the entire league.
Yeah.
Is that realistic to replicate, or do we expect to see a more balanced offensive attack for you guys this season?
Jonathan Rodriguez will score 15 to 20 goals again. It's I don't know. It's like me getting out of bed every morning. I always have a cup of tea. It's almost like routine. He definitely is a goal scorer. He's going to get the platform to score even more goals. You think about sort of like he's come into this league. When we spoke to him at the end of the season, he was blown away with sort of like the amount of effort it takes to be an MLS player with the travel and everything. He was coming off the back of sort of like not much rest. He's had a brilliant off season. He's come back. He is incredibly fit, and I think he now knows what it's like to be an MLS player. So I expect 15 to 20 goals from him. Pipe Mora will score goals at whatever age or whatever team he plays in. Why? Because it's just what he does. I think the thing with those two is that we're just going to keep them fit and maintained, and not make sure that we don't ride them too much where they hit a brick wall. With Evander, he's MVP level. Every year there's been an incremental rise in his performance, and I think this league is about the DPs. The DPs are the special ones, and we've got special DPs, and so what we do need to do is build a team around them to make sure that they are successful. And what that means is we need to start keeping clean sheets. I think was that boring you then? My wife does that to me, when I'm talking too much, she just cuts me dead. So we just need to defend a lot better. It's unacceptable for us to go into a season, into games this year and defend like we do, because you know what? There are going to be games when you don't score them amount of goals.
Well, 2 more questions in Spanish.
What?
Coach, unas palabras en español para la grande radio. Mensaje para los aficionados en español que quedaron decepcionados la temporada pasada y sus primeras impresiones de Joao Ortiz, por favor.
Hola, ¿qué tal?
Muy bien.
Muy bien. Mi primera rueda de prensa en español esta temporada. Una mensaje para nuestros aficionados es: estoy muy feliz con el fichaje de Joao. Joao es un jugador muy fuerte. Tenemos 4 centrocampistas y Joao es un centrocampista muy similar de Diego Chara. Es muy fuerte, gana la pelota, muy rápido, muy agresivo, muy bueno con la pelota, muy bueno sin la pelota. Por ejemplo, en el estrategia es muy bueno en el aire, muy agresivo. Entonces, cuando hablé con él en un Zoom hace un mes, mi primera opinión es: él tiene un sonríe muy grande. Él es un carácter, es un líder. Es la primera vez afuera de Ecuador, entonces es una época donde tendremos una adaptación para vivir aquí, no para jugar aquí, pero tenemos muchos latinos en el vestuario, entonces es una casa para ellos. Estamos muy felices que Joao está aquí con 3 otros centrocampistas muy buenos.
Hey, Phil. I actually have one in English.
English, thank you.
One in English, one in Spanish. Really quick, both of them. So Ned mentioned that it is possible to have 2 exits and maybe 2 players coming in. If I ask you, when do you want your roster set out, you will tell me tomorrow.
Now,
exactly.
Now, yeah.
But that is not realistic. So what is your limit?
I think the look, if you ask any manager in the MLS, they would have wanted them on Saturday for the medicals, yeah, but that's not realistic. The window in the whole of the world probably ends at the end of January. So I think there's always that period up until the end of January where clubs are looking at offers, we're making bids, and so we're constantly reviewing, speaking to players. I think we've got a couple of really outstanding targets in the defensive area. I think in an ideal world we want both. Probably more realistic is one at this moment in time that's gonna be a real value to the defensive unit. I think once you get to sort of like Coachella, which is just February, I think when you've got them 4 games in Coachella, you want to start the integration process. I don't know if you remember last year, Jonathan Rodriguez came in 3rd, 4th game of the season. We then didn't win for his first 8 games. We didn't win a game. Why? And he didn't really get up to speed. Why? Because that adaptation period, even for the most experienced players, is difficult. So you think about, we're in Coachella, we're in a hotel, we can eat together, train together, spend time together. That is crucial for a footballer. So I'd say that if Ned promised 2, then I'm happy with that. And they're going to arrive tomorrow, Ned said, yeah? Is that what he said? Yeah. No. So I think by Coachella, by the start of February, I hope that we're going to have at least 1 more edition. And you know what? I think it's, being really honest, I think it's, we have players that have been at this football club for the last 6-7 years that have been incredible servants, that have died for the badge, that are really good footballers. But I think the real sort of like my main focus and Ned's main focus over the off season and the front office was that it's not on the ability of the players. We just want to change. We just want to freshen things up. We just want hungry players. We want players that are going to come in and take us to the next level. So there could be a couple of players exiting if we get the right offers. If not, we've got players that attitudes are here to fight for the badge.
Thank you. And en español, la cantidad de dinero que se pagó por Kevin, ¿cuáles son los atributos por los que ustedes terminan diciendo, vale esto, vamos por él? ¿Y cuál es la expectativa para él?
Is it the price?
Sí, yeah, so the amount of money that you pay for him, right? Like, when you are evaluating the player, what are the attributes that let you decide, okay, we are good with this, and the expectations for him?
Invertimos un montón de dinero en un chico tiene 20 años, pero tiene 20 años, pero tiene experiencia como un jugador como tiene, I don't know, 23, 24. Un año en Cincinnati es muy bueno para nosotros. Entonces ahora no hay tiempo para adaptación, porque un año en Cincinnati es para adaptación. Entonces, cuando vi este jugador, la verdad es, yo veo una estrella, porque tiene la capacidad, las calidades para hacer todo, marcar goles, corre muy rápido, un toque muy bueno. Sí, es muy fuerte, es diferente como Pipi Mora, pero como un jugador, como esas cualidades, es un jugador que yo creo, es un jugador que en un año, 2 años será o estará en Europa, como los clubes en Europa tops. Es un jugador que hablé con la gente en Cincinnati, me dije que es un jugador que cada día llega más antes de los jugadores y sale después, siempre con una actitud buena. Entonces yo estoy muy feliz con este fichaje y gracias a Mary y Ned para entregarlo. Ahora tenemos que hacer con Kevin que tuvimos con Evander, mejorar, aprender y mejorar cada día para entregar los resultados en el campo. Gracias. Thanks, guys.